We ride together, we die together. We some petty bitches, boo. We holding it down, we straighten the crowns. Petty bitches and we coming to you. We ride together, we die together. We some petty bitches, boo. We holding it down, we straighten the crown. Petty bitches and we coming to you.
Every day last week, and then I had a call with Meg and Women in Radio. We just like had a conversation about what was going on, and I was like literally crying through the whole thing. So like I did not speak in it at all because that's just like I knew if I said anything I would cry. And then at the end, Meg's like, because I wrote something in there, and Meg was like, Estelle, oh my god, I didn't know you were in here. And I'm like, yeah, hi. Like I said, like, hi, love you, bye.
Just like I can't.
And then like I literally I texted her afterwards, and I'm like, yeah, I didn't speak because I was crying. Like I've been super emotional. And she's like, oh my god, I would never called you out if I knew you were crying. And I'm like, it had nothing to do with that. Like just I'm super emotional.
Yeah.
I think I don't know, everything's putting me down with what's going on in the world. And I think too partly because it was my dad's birthday last week, and I'm super
most definitely.
And I was on my period, so there's like
damn, you just got like a quadruple whammy.
Yeah, I did. It was just I don't know. It was a mess.
A lot.
It was a mess last week.
Yeah.
I didn't drink either.
That's impressive. I was just very, like I always am. So I was kind of like introverted. I was very much, everybody's like, how are you feeling? And I'm just like, I'll let you know when I figured it out.
Yeah, it's hard. I don't know. I think for anybody just to go through this because everybody's telling you how you should feel and how you should be behaving. Yeah. And that's not the reality. Like, I even got tried by people, like, I know that were like, well, why weren't you at the protest here? Because you date black men, you should have been out there. First off, my mom's high risk for COVID. Yeah. I don't know what the fuck's going on out there. I'm not being, like, overly cautious about it. Like, I am going out and seeing people. Yeah. I'm not going into a massive crowd.
No. Yeah. No, I'm very careful about where I go. Like my mom is very high risk for COVID, but I'm scared. Like I'm scared to be in a mass group. I'm scared.
No offense, like in this, like look at you. If I were you, I would be. Like I should be scared, but I guess that's where my white privilege kicks in a little bit. Like
and I mean, for me, it's different. I mean, we'll talk about it later on in this episode. But hello.
Hi, guys.
Welcome back to the PAB podcast. I'm Ariel.
I'm Estelle. Trying to be happy.
Trying to be content. At this point, like, I'm so at a neutral standpoint. I can't be too sad. I can't be too happy. I'm just like... I'm trying to be content in the world I'm living in right now.
I don't even know how I feel anymore.
It's difficult.
Like, the past 2 days, like, I've been around a lot of friends, so, like, I haven't thought about it. Yeah. So it's been really nice because I actually felt happy, but now, like, knowing that we're talking about what we're talking about, I'm like, like, I don't know how to feel. Yeah. I've been mentally preparing for this episode all week, and for me, I've had a very busy, like, work week. Yeah, which is probably
so good. It distracted me from a lot, but every time somebody came to me with, like, how are you feeling, or sorry, I'm just like, I literally have to step away from social media because I was just like, I can't. It's funny enough. Focus. I had to step away from TikTok because, like... They were too happy? No, they weren't even happy. I got nothing but, like, everything that was, like, the Black Lives Movements and, like, all the rioting and, like, it's just... A lot of it hurt to watch. And like I said, like, they're, like, even being personally told that I should have been out there in the protests. Like, there's people in the videos, like, literally one after the other, where the snow bunnies that date black men, I don't see you out there on the street. I don't see you supporting your black men that you say you love. And, like, it's just, like, it's very, it hurts. Yeah. Like, you're defeating the purpose of being out there. Yes. It's not to judge. It's not to criticize. It's not to feel any certain type of way about somebody else not behaving the way you think they're supposed to be behaving.
Or, like, even just, like, listening to people encouraging the violence of it.
Yeah.
And that, for me, like, everybody says, like, well, that's how we got things done back in the day. And I'm like, that was wrong then, and it's wrong now. Because for me, like, you're destroying your own home. Your community is your home.
Yeah.
You're destroying your home.
Yeah.
What is that proving to anybody?
Nothing. It's one of those things where, I mean, my heart, my thoughts, my prayers go out to George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and Breonna Taylor,
yeah.
but like, it's so, I don't know. My mom asked me, like, how are you feeling? And I feel out of sorts. I feel so much differently than I have had, because Breonna Taylor happened far before George Floyd. But
I mean, I'm horrible with names. Ahmaud.
Yeah.
He happened back in February.
Yeah.
And to me, like, not that George Floyd thing wasn't so significant. I think I'm more affected by his death more than George's, just because of the fact that you saw a video of him being hunted down like he's a fucking deer, like he's a dog.
Yeah.
And the people who killed him were just walking around like nothing happened.
Right.
And like, to me, that's like a true lynching that happened. In a way. And it's like, to me, I feel like that affected me more. Yes, what happened to George Floyd, and I'm so not thankful that he's passed, but like, I'm thankful that it was how, like, everything
happens for a reason, and his death brought so much awareness.
I was happy that they caught everything on camera beforehand, because so much of the argument beforehand was like, well, how was he behaving? Was he resisting? He was completely cooperating with the cops, and so that's no longer a valid argument anymore. Right. I don't know. Everything with it is just it's unfortunate that he had to die. He had to die
for this.
All
to
of
happen.
them. Unfortunately, it's so sad that they all had to die. But I think at the end of the day, we're finally gonna see changes.
Hopefully.
But that's also why I keep saying we need to keep the same energy.
Yeah.
On November 3rd during the election. But we also have to, like, keep in mind, too, that you have to keep fighting for it. Because we have to keep going back to the elections, back to the polls. And, like, look what happened with Barack Obama when he became president in 2008. Like, we showed that our voices do matter that year.
Yeah.
But then his next election, it all dropped off.
Yeah. He won by just, like,
a hair. And it's because not everybody's like, oh, our votes don't matter again. You made a point that your votes
did matter,
and now
last time.
Yeah, I'm so sick and tired of having this argument with people that my vote doesn't matter. My vote doesn't matter.
I mean, I can see why people make that assumption with Trump, because he didn't win by the what's it called, the
majority.
The majority vote, the popular vote.
Yeah,
he didn't win by that. He was put into office by Congress, so it was.
Yes and no, but he woke up a bunch of people who, like Obama did. He woke up a bunch of people who hadn't voted in a long time. He did the same thing, just with a different group of people.
Yeah.
And what people don't realize, that both groups have to constantly go in and battle out. It is a constant fight that you, like, that's one great thing about this country. And unfortunate that we always have to fight for the things that we want. And constant battle, like, if the people that voted for Trump, they were sick and tired of seeing some certain things going on, and Donald Trump pushed their buttons. He knew exactly what they wanted to hear and said what they wanted to hear. And he brought them out and voted. And he won by majority of the electoral votes. It sucks. I mean, I'm not a Trump fan. I don't totally hate him. I do not agree with how he's been behaving the past week and a half, or most of the time.
4 years.
I mean, shut up. Just shut up. Stop speaking. Like,
if you have nothing nice or productive to say, don't say anything at all, which is sad because he's the president. So.
It is. Well, for me, I think as a leader of a country, it doesn't matter where you are. I think when you see that your country is in distress, you need to be able to bring them together. Yeah. And I did have a conversation with a friend who is a huge Trump supporter, and I'm glad that him and I can actually have, like, real conversations about politics. And he flat out says, like, I don't think he has empathy or can articulate himself to bring. I think he's like, I think he wants to. I don't think he just doesn't know how. And I'm like, but that's the problem. Like, you as a president need to be able to do that.
You have to do everything.
You have, yeah.
That's why like presidents get so much crap for being whoever they are in that moment. But at the end of the day, even some of our worst presidents were there when tragedy hit.
Yeah.
And this is like we're getting double whammied. We have COVID, and then we have these shootings. Well, all these shootings plus George Floyd's murder.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where we have no choice but to look and listen and get hit because nobody's going anything. We don't have the distractions that we did before where, this is just 1 week. Like I have this, that, and this to do next week. Like we're not distracted by our day to day anymore. So we're feeling the effects more. And plus we're sympathetic. I think COVID made us sympathetic to the world.
I also think because of it was, I think for the first time we saw 2 back-to-back blatant murders caught on camera. And I think that's why it's a little different, especially with George Floyd. Yeah. Because like you saw the entire thing happen and roll down.
For me, I cannot watch someone murder someone on TV.
I stopped watching it
for real life situations. Like movies and TV, I know they're fiction. So like I have that in the back of my head, in my heart, where I know it's not real. I can't see a real murder happen.
I stopped watching it when he put his knee on his neck, and we was there for argument. I'm like, if he's gonna kill him, I can't watch it.
It's not in my, I can't do it.
I also think that part of the reason, I'm horrible with Ahmad. I don't want to call him Muhammad, but it's Ahmad. Like, I think why that affected me so much, because I watched that through and through, and because I didn't realize what was happening, and just to watch him be hunted down the way that he was just
disgusting.
It's
disheartening.
I don't even both of those words. Like I don't have words for it because like
these people were in their like with Breonna Taylor, she was in her home. Her home with Ahmad, he was on his street. He was he was running in a neighborhood, and he happened to walk inside a house that was being built. And I don't know one fucking person in this world who has never done that. Like, I've known my parents have done that in the middle of the bowl just to go see, like, what the inside of it's going to look like. Yeah. See how they're building it, how they're constructioning it. And he went inside, and some former cop and his son were doing neighborhood patrol, which I'm not quite sure if they were even supposed to be doing that. I don't know if, like, the whole neighborhood agreed to that or if they just decided that that's because there was break-ins going on. I don't know the whole story on that because I'm too disheartened to go back and look on it right now. But I guess there was some break-ins going on in the neighborhood, and they just assumed because he went into a construction house that he obviously was that person. But once again, it doesn't. I'm sorry, but neighborhood watch shouldn't be loaded with.
Well, he was a former cop.
Doesn't matter. You're a neighborhood watch. You're not the police. You're neighborhood watch. I mean, so if you have like a baton or your phone to call the actual authorities, if a neighborhood watch is just to witness and report.
I agree.
So you're supposed to report what you see, not act on what you see. Exactly. I don't care who you used to be.
No, I agree. Because there is no right for you and your hun to hunt down somebody because you assume that they were. And the problem is, their defense is that they felt like they were being threatened by him. And
so you go back home and you call the police.
That's where my argument comes in, because you all were chasing him down and then kept blocking his exit. He was trying to run away from you, and yet you still thought that it was okay to kill him. Like, if you were really that threatened, he was running away, let him run away.
Right.
You already have videotape of his face and stuff. You turn that into the police.
Yep.
That is how the world is supposed to work. It's not a free land if everybody just goes out and gets a gun and just starts shooting everybody. That's the problem with this world.
Right.
That we all think we have the right to do something when we don't.
Right.
I don't care
who you are. And it's
not
even in the world, Fortunately, it's not in the world. It's America. Unfortunately, it's just we have yes, it's our right, it's our Second Amendment right, but it's one of those things where you have to gauge your rights carefully or they get taken away.
Yeah, or you just need to judge. Become a better judger of a situation.
Yeah, sometimes it shouldn't be a right; it should be a privilege. And
I think our Constitution is a privilege, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like the amendments we have, the fact that we have free speech, the fact that we're even able to talk about this on our podcast.
It's a true privilege. It's truly, and I'm very grateful for every privilege I've been provided as an American citizen.
Yes. But there are Americans that think that's just their God-given right, and it's not. You're only God-given.
It's
right.
your American right.
It's your American right.
But God did not give you the right to take away his sons and daughters. I'm sorry.
No, it's your privilege as a human being to have those rights. Like it's I don't know. I just personally am so disheartened to know all this. And then like I think too for me, like I have a lot of family members that are cops, and everybody's like, oh, fuck the police and this and that. And like, first off, not every cop is bad. I am well aware to know that. It's like also saying that every black person is bad.
Yeah.
It's not true.
Right.
It's far from it. And I think that's the other thing that's very disheartening, that like we're all just we fight this battle that we're all equal and this and that. And
but we want to put blame. We want to point fingers.
We want to put everybody in a category, but yet we don't want to be categorized.
Right.
And I'm sorry, not every cop is bad.
No, and I think most people know that, but we're just fighting for the injustice of
I agree.
What's happening. No, not all cops, because there are many cops
amazing
bending
cops
the knee. They are saying, "I'm with you." There are plenty of cops. Thankfully, there's a majority rather than a minority of them. So,
but I also think this goes back to like what I was saying earlier about mental health, like. I would never want to be a cop or a doctor or an EMT or a firefighter, because you have to make
life and death choices
every day. It is not an easy job. But I do think that they need to go for mental health evaluations. Yeah. But I do think that's something that we all need to go through, like a physical that we just. But I definitely think that they need to have a mental health evaluation maybe every 2 to 3 months to see where their head is at.
Hell yeah. And not to say that there aren't some police jurisdictions or I'm sure, I can't remember the name of their house. But
Department?
I guess maybe that's the precinct. Precinct?
Yes. Precinct.
So it's one of those things, like not all of them aren't following the rules, but for the ones that are, like they're saying that they're going to try and bring the federal government into this. So it's one of those things where they're trying to figure out the checks and the balance of all of these situations.
And that's also the problem. Like our government hasn't been updated since the day that they established it.
I'm sure it's been updated a little bit but I feel like they don't update it for decades.
No, they don't. Until something horrible happens like this. And I think they need to update how they handle things and really put us in checks and balances. Yeah. Sorry, policemen only go through 6 months of training? Yeah. And they're given a gun.
What are they saying? Barbers get more training than police officers?
Yeah. Hell, Ashley had to go to school for a beautician for over a year. So it makes sense.
For me, yes, I went to technical school, but to learn everything and then to intern, I shouldn't be able to have a gun after that. Like it's not the same thing, but it's one of those. Even our army men and women, they go through a grueling training day in, day out. That's why they go out together. You get to go home, you get to see your family, you get to be in the world again.
Yeah, you're not stuck at camp.
Yeah.
Whereas our army, they're stuck in camp, and to me sometimes I feel like they're brainwashed, but that's just me personally.
That's a whole other conversation. But it's crazy the way the world is going is we may need our army to step in, which is, I don't want that, because that's terrifying.
Well, that's the problem. Like, if you let martial law take effect, and I don't know if this is I mean, not that it's ever right to have that happen. I just don't think this is the right
time.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it would escalate even more with the protest. And that's why it's so important to have peaceful protests and to not riot and to not loot situations, because then that's when we have...
I think that's too one of the things that make me so angry. Like, you're destroying your home. Like that proves nothing.
No, it's think about it as school. Like, you get talked to by your teacher and then your parent, but once the principal gets involved or the superintendent gets involved, it ends up a lot worse than if you couldn't figure it out between you and your teacher and your parent. Like, the moment other people, other authorities get involved, you're really screwing yourself and the rest of the world.
That the media is also shining light so much on the rioting and the looting, because there's more peaceful protesting happening than the rioting and the looting.
And I think that's why I've been so fearful to protest, because that's what I'm seeing in the news is...
Well, we had a riot here.
And it turned into rubber bullets and tear gas.
Yeah, so and I don't want to be a part of that in my own hometown. Like, like I said, this is my home.
This is my home, but I also want to go home at the end of the day. Like,
you want to be your house.
I'm scared to drive. I'm scared to be out past curfew. I'm scared to leave my home, because all I just want is to be able to come back. I want to be able to open my door and see my parents. Like, and the idea that if I leave my house, that's a possibility that will never happen. And for me, I've always said I've been more privileged than other Black people, because I've just been treated differently, whether it's the way I look, whether it's the way I talk. I've just always had a different experience as being a Black woman in America that others may not have. So it's one of those things where, for me right now, I'm feeling more affected than I have ever felt before. And I don't know if it's because I'm getting older. I don't know if I'm just more aware of my surroundings. I don't know if it's because one day I want to have kids, and the idea of not being...
It's funny that you said that, because I think one of the other things that I think I'm so upset about is that I think about having children someday. And realistically, if I think about it, my kids are going to be mixed children.
Same.
And I think about, do I even really want to bring kids into this world? And I had somebody tell me, it's like, well, you need to find a man first before you think about that. And I'm like,
that's not the point.
That's not the point. Like, you're putting down my feelings, because like, I love kids, and I don't think children should have to face these kind of things. Like, I couldn't imagine being a parent and having to give my child a talk of, you need to be careful because somebody's not going to like you because of your skin color. And that's just a horrible, like, such a Debbie Downer. Yeah. Like, I feel like I'm just...
Something that should be so happy, a joyous time, you always have to think of the future. I mean, and that's honestly with every parent. I mean, I think it comes to a point where you're living for your child and fearing for their life at any time, any point. But it's definitely put on a pedestal when you're a Black family of any shade of colored family, period. It's one of those things that we think about. And honestly, I haven't really thought about it, again, because of the people I surround myself with. I have a salad bowl. I have a diverse group of friends. Like, two of my best friends are white and Spanish. And then I have my family is Black, and they have really, throughout my life, have always kind of showed me and told me. And even my mom has trained me in a way to hold myself differently, so I'm not looked at as a threat. With my brother, who's 6'4", big dude, who doesn't smile normally. So it's one of those...
I'm just like picturing Corey.
Yes. So it's one of those things where he's been trained to walk the world, and that's just for the color of his skin. And that's
sad, because the only way we should be training our kids is like with the golden rule.
Yeah.
Like,
treat others the way you want to be treated.
But yeah, you have to have these conversations of like how to behave in case you ever get arrested or like.
I was watching a show, The American. He's half Black, but even him being half white, half Black, he was never told or taught how to approach caught because he was very, he comes from a very affluent family. He has money. He lives in the 1% kind of group. So he didn't understand what it was to behave in front of a police officer. And he went off and popped his mouth off, and he didn't understand what was happening. Although the person that was living with him was a black man living in a predominantly poor neighborhood, and he had to tell him, like, shut up, like, stop talking. And he went to his father. He went to the boy's father and was just like, why haven't you had that conversation with your son?
Because he didn't think he needed to.
He didn't think he needed to. And it's hard.
But see, I would rather think like that father, no offense. Like, I would
like to think.
But that's not the world we live in.
Exactly. And hopefully by the time we have children and our children get to an age where they're going out without us, that it won't be a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I really don't. I think it's the first time in my life that I've ever been, like, thinking that it won't happen. Yeah. Because, like I said, I grew up in a house where people were people. Right. Like, we didn't see color or any of those things. But I do want to say that it has
opened your eyes.
Not just that. Like, I don't think my family realizes. I don't even think sometimes I realize what my white privilege is. And especially my family. And I've, like, had to have this conversation with my brothers and my nephews, and it's just insane to me how, like, I'm thankful for the way that I was raised, but I guess it's also put blinders on us for other things. And I think just being opened up to certain things, because, like, I know that what happened to any, like, Trayvon, to George Floyd, like,
that would never happen.
It would never happen to any of my nephews, and it's very sad to think about that. And then having these conversations with my younger nephews is, like, so crazy, because we talked about everything that's going on. Because my nephew, he's like, oh, George Floyd's like the new Martin Luther King almost, and I'm like, wait, what? Like, I had to, like, stop and talk to him. I'm like, what do you mean by that? He's like, well, he's bringing awareness. Like, he has everybody so upset about this whole racism thing going on. And, like, you are right to a point, but unfortunately, he didn't make speeches or, like, truly made the movement go. Right. And
he had to die for it to really have effect.
I mean, and I do hate to say this, unfortunately, somebody always has to die for a real change to happen. And it's
even Martin Luther King had to die for a change to happen. John F. Kennedy had to die to make a change happen. So it was one of those things where,
look at Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah,
in slavery.
It's one of those things where I hope masses don't have to die for any of this to happen. But it's where we are, and hopefully we've learned from history that maybe, and I think that's why we're so.
I also think I'm so upset. I think that's the other reason why I'm so upset with everybody too, because, like, especially with the rioting and the looting, because, like, we learn from history. Like, I'm a huge history buff in a way.
Not.
Obviously, I love, like, knowing, like, weird facts about the past. Yeah. Like, I thought it was funny, like, last weekend I told your mom that black men actually got the right to vote before women did. Yeah. And your mom's like, no, they didn't. I'm like, yeah, they did. Yeah, they did.
I knew that.
But a lot of people don't know that.
And it's funny how the history books change from when our parents were younger to when we're younger. Because they wouldn't tell our parents certain information that later on they would, let the truth be known.
But I also think that's why I watch a lot of documentaries. Because, like, I like to know things. But rioting causes taxes to go up because things.
Your mic is on, by the way, so you can actually say something.
We purposely put your mic on.
So, our producer Jess, makes taxes go up because what?
They have to fix everything.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I don't even think about that. I'm like, to me, you're just destroying your home. Yeah. But I think a big part of it, because everyone brings up Martin Luther King, and then they bring up the fact that, like, they had to riot, I think, for 7 to 9 days after Martin Luther King just to get civil rights to go through. But it was wrong then. You should have learned from the mistakes back then.
Violence doesn't stop violence. As much as people want to think that.
Well, hate also doesn't cure hate.
No.
That's all that, that's like adding fuel to a fire.
Right.
Like all you're gonna do is make the fire bigger.
Right.
Like you have to,
like,
in order to get the darkness out, you have to put out the light. Like
and
you
it's
have to.
so hard, and that's why the opposite of hate is love. Is so the opposite of darkness.
Actually, there's a very fine line between love and hate.
It's exactly. It's one of those things where it's so similar. It's the same side of a different,
coin.
It's the different side of the same coin. It's so close, but the moment you switch over the coin, one is bigger than the other. One shows more than the other. So it's one of those things where just like light and dark, like you have to snuff out the dark with light, but they're so close.
Yeah.
Because it's just the absence of light. Darkness is the absence of light, not that it isn't light. Yeah. So it's one of those things where you have to, for me, it's affecting me more than I would ever like it to, and more than it ever has. Because again, and I don't think I realized how trained I was to live in America.
Sorry, that's just funny to say that, trained to live in America.
Exactly. For a Black one, I didn't realize how much I was trained. Even though my parents made sure I saw people, but they always made sure to let me know that people may not see me. And so I've always felt out of place in the world because of and it had nothing, it didn't really have anything to do with my skin color. It's just my mentality, my characteristics, my everything else. So it didn't hit me until recently. I even think until now, where I'm just like, maybe I've felt so out of place for so long because I'm just a color in a world that doesn't like to see color.
That makes me sad, Ariel.
It makes me extreme.
Well, I see you.
I see you, and that's because at the end of the day, I realized I go for my friends for their character and not even family members. I have family members that I'm closer to because of character, not because they're lighter than the other.
No. But that's how you should see the world anyways. It's about your integrity. It's not about, sorry, I say that it does. Like I joke around, I want a hot chocolate man, but at the end of the day,
it's the characteristic. And sometimes it's not even the color of their skin, it's just the features. I go for features, and for whatever reason, more features that I am attracted to is on a white man.
Listen, I have to say the same thing. Like for me, like a smile's the first thing that I always look at, and for some reason, I've always found smiles on a black man that happens to be more attractive to me.
But that's the thing. Like we're trying to raise our children and our world to be. Because America is still a teenager in most people's heads. So we're trying to raise America,
and we're
to
acting
be
out right now.
Better. Yeah, we've been acting out for
too fucking long.
Yeah, for a few hundred years. So it's one of those things, and I love you because from the moment we met, yes, we didn't always get along, but it's not even that we didn't get along. It's just we didn't show weakness.
Yeah, no, we were just being our true selves.
Yeah, and I gravitate to the people where I can be okay being silent.
Yeah.
And I think that was also one of the things that I wanted to bring up.
I want to go back to being that mean. I feel like I'm too sensitive this week, and I just hate it.
I don't like feelings. I'm right there with you. I'm like, I was doing so well with just kind of getting out of my COVID funk.
Yeah.
That now I'm just kind of.
Well, even like last weekend when we had recorded our last week episode, so we decided to go mute for everything, the Black Lives
for
Matter,
awareness, for the Black Lives Matter
movement. So we decided not to post last week's episode, and we'll post it next week. But when we didn't know half of this was going on while we were recording our podcast, and we had such a great time. Like we were all in such a good mood afterwards. I cooked lunch for everybody. It was such a great day.
It was.
And then all of a sudden, like a flip switched, and we were just down.
It's crazy because it was already happening, but it wasn't. I don't even know. It comes in waves, and I think that's a perfect example. It came in like waves. Yes, it happened, and then we were kind of reeling from it happening, and then we started processing what was happening, and it was just like I'm still in the processing mode. Like And I'm coming to terms, and I'm trying to find my voice in all of it. And that was one thing that bothered me about social media is if you're silent, you're racist. Like, if you're silent, you don't stand for the injustice. And I process in silence. I can't tell you how I'm feeling. I can't express how I'm feeling because I'm trying to figure it out myself.
No, I agree with that too, because it's the same way. Like, I was watching Today's Show, and like they were showing this clip of like Al, I forget her name, I forget most of them, but Al, Dylan, and the two other people. I don't know why I forget their names, but I always do. And they were having an open conversation about everything going on, and all three of them happened to be black except for Dylan. And she even flat out came out and said, she's like, I don't know what to say because I feel like whatever I am going to say is going to be the wrong thing to say. And for me, sometimes, like, I have been posting like certain things and been resharing things on my Instagram about certain things, but I'm not really saying what I want to say because I don't know what to say.
Right.
Because I can't speak for all white people. Yeah. I can speak for myself, but at the same time,
your experience is different.
I'm hurting right now, and I want to like shut down in a way, and I'm trying to force myself not to shut down. Yeah. And I don't know how to articulate how I'm feeling. Even right now, I'm having a hard time saying what I want to say without crying. Like, you really don't understand how hard it is for me not to be crying right now. Yeah. And I think that's shameful that people are shaming other people
for feeling just the way they're
feeling.
Silenced. Yeah.
Because there's so many emotions that are running through everybody. Like, first off, this is the first time a lot of white people are being aware of what the fuck is going on. That there is a problem in our system. That there is racism going on that we don't realize that happens every day. Right. So,
and for me, as being a black person, I'm being stricken with awareness that I didn't have, and I'm not ashamed to say it. Like, I didn't have it before because my black life is completely different than somebody else's black life.
We're all individuals. We all don't live the same life.
I don't live the same life as most black people, and I always felt like ashamed to say that, or I felt like I couldn't say that, but that's my reality. That's my truth. But there's no reason why I can't say that while saying for the first time in maybe my life, maybe in a long time, where I've been truly affected in how I move, how I think, how I feel with this going on. I'm still going to behave the way I'm going to behave because I've spent 27 years living.
You ain't 20 years old.
27 years living my life the way I know how, but it's interesting to be aware of.
I think things are going to change. I don't know how they're going to change for you, but I think it's going to change a little for me. I'm not quite sure yet.
I don't know how it is, but
I'm probably going to be more emotional, and I do not like it. I'm going.
Honestly,
I hate this.
For me, I think this year has kind of made me feel more, like express my feelings more. I've always felt more than most people.
Oh, and I've been telling you that's something you need to do anyway.
A lot of people tell me, like, you just need to express let me know what you're feeling, and maybe that'll help. And honestly, I thank this podcast for allowing me to say what I gotta say and feel what I gotta feel, because I wouldn't normally I wouldn't normally be open, and knowing I have to talk about it in front of people, it makes me more willing to talk about it, get it out first with my friends and my family, even though this experience has kind of gotten me back into the silence, because I have to figure out.
I can understand that because
it's a lot. It's a lot of emotion. I'm sad. I'm angry. I'm disappointed. I'm content. I'm thankful. I'm grateful for the life I have and the life my family members have. But I'm also saddened, and I'm just feeling emotions that I've never really felt before. And I have to figure out what they mean to me before I can articulate what they stand for.
All I know right now is that I'm very, very sad, and I'm very mentally exhausted.
Oh my gosh, I'm exhausted.
I'm mentally exhausted from all this, and I think it's because mainly at home, like I'm trying to have the conversations about, you guys are aware that this happens. Like this, you have this and they don't have this, and this happens all the time. And it's hard too with people like that live this life of everybody's the same, everybody's equal, and it's just like...
And it's true, everybody is, but I read a post like, you wouldn't tell your spouse like, this is how you're making me feel, but this is, and somebody coming to you be like, this is how most spouses feel. Like, yes, these things, it would feel a certain type of way if you were told your emotions didn't matter in this certain point in time. It's not that all lives don't matter, it's the fact of the matter is right now, Black lives matter in the forefront right now.
I saw a great analogy. This like somebody's like saying, "Oh, this house is on fire. We're gonna go put water. Gonna go help that house out because it's on fire." And somebody's like, "Well, my house matters." Like, yes, your house matters, but your house is not on fire
right now.
Let's go help our friends, and I think that is the main thing. Like, you need to go help your friends.
Yeah. And I've been very thankful for the friends I do have, because they have reached out to me saying, I'm sorry that...
Jess, I really just need you to talk on your mic that we have set up for you.
She said not all lives matter before.
Until
Black Lives Matter. And it's one of those things where I'm very thankful for the people that are woke enough. My friends, my Trump supporter friends, my white friends.
Can we just also talk about the fact that they're trying to pass a bill that gay people can't adopt children? That's also wrong. Sorry, we need to talk about that.
Ooh, yeah, that's gonna have to be a later discussion. Because honestly, that's been happening a lot where I do want to talk about that. But
like, I also think it's funny that they're like, I always say too, like, they always like make a big deal in the news about something that's happening just to distract us from this.
Yeah. So, but like, look, there's a fire over here, but somebody's getting robbed over there. So it's just one of those things where, and I think that comes with conspiracy theories that we both have that we're just like okay.
Well, I don't think Epstein killed himself. That's my conspiracy theory. I also don't think Marilyn Monroe died of a drug overdose. Sorry, we're getting off topic.
Yes, but it's one of those
you got
things,
me excited about conspiracy theories.
So that's gonna have to be a whole other conversation that we can have in the future. But I just want to thank like my friends and my family who have been there for me, for whether it was a text, whether it was a hug, whether it was a time together, whether it was a handhold, whether it was something to show that I'm not alone.
You're not.
And know that, yes, I'm fighting and I'm supporting and I'm doing this, but other people are doing it with me. Yeah. And I think for me, for the first time feeling everything that I'm feeling, it's a lot. But knowing that other people are there with me is
I know that I'm
tremendous.
Feeling all the emotions, but I can't even imagine what you're feeling.
Yeah.
Like
and I honestly, I haven't felt these feelings before. So I'm just like, as you can tell, I'm like trying to hold back tears. I'm like hoarse. I'm just one of those.
I know.
I haven't cried. It's one of those things where I don't know where these
Girl, I wish I haven't cried. I literally, like I said, I've been
No, I'm glad you're crying because it's one of those things. I just can't. I've been since COVID, I've been in a...
It's true, and it's also, like I said, it goes back to mental health. Like, we need to be more aware of everybody's mental health, and it's just, this is not helping. No. It's
not, but I pray that everything gets better. And
everything, I have faith that everything will get better. I mean, I try to be like a positive person sometimes and like have hope for things, and I do think things will get better. Like I said, I do need everybody to go register to vote and take this same fucking energy to the polls on 11/13.
That you are doing on your Insta stories.
You also primaries too. Make sure you go out and vote for those. Mm-hmm. Because even one of my brothers is a Trump supporter, but yet he doesn't vote. So he was complaining about a bunch of shit yesterday to me, and I'm like, first off, you don't have the right to complain about anything until you get a registration to vote. Yeah. And then when you get your registration, you need to show it to me so you can have proof to tell. Then you can come complain to me about a bunch of bullshit.
So our primaries are what, in August, and the general for the world is in
November 11th. November 3rd. Sorry, I don't know why I thought November 11th.
Yes, don't forget to vote locally. statewide.
And I even preached this to myself. Like, I need to get better aware of what's going on in my community.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, I think that's why I've been so, like, having interactions or having conversations with my family and my nephews about it. Because everything has to start at home. You need to start small before you get bigger. And before you start small, you need to start in your community. I'm starting with my nephews. That is my basic community right now, right? In my life.
Right.
And I'm trying to make sure that they go out in the world or that realize that color doesn't matter, but yet it may not matter to us.
Understand what's happening with other people.
Have your eyes open. Just know what's going on in the world. And
just be a hand to hold for somebody else that you may not know what it feels like, but you can sympathize what it feels like.
Yeah, sympathize, because like I don't understand what you're going through, but like I know that you're in pain, and I emphasize for that. There's so many people who don't understand that, because there's a lot of white people with their white privilege. They don't realize that there's this going on, that all this is going on. And I mean, I would love to be that bliss. I would love to be that bliss sometimes, but it's not the reality. So would I. But you have to start in your own backyard. And I want to start getting more involved in my community and know what's really going on here in my backyard in West Palm Beach. And I say that you all need to do that too in your hometowns. Yeah. Wherever you're listening.
For me, I'm having conversations that I didn't really have conversations about before, that I need to be comfortable to have now and feel okay to have now, and kind of look at the world still in the way I've always looked at the world, in a positive light, but also kind of
more awareness,
more aware, more realistic, less naive in my thought process on how people really treat other people, and kind of be an advocate for others. And it's not going to happen overnight. For me, I know it's not going to happen overnight, because I've spent
overnight. Like I said, it goes back to us going to the polls and voting and making sure that our voices are heard.
Yeah, but also keeping the line of communication open. Sometimes just going to the poll doesn't help. We have to leave this in our forefront, in our mind, because the moment we stop talking about it is the moment it goes away.
Agreed. I agree with that. That's, I think, the other reason why getting involved in your community is so important, because it makes everybody else aware. Yeah,
and get involved in part of your community that you weren't involved in before. I think that's where that matters the most. If you were hanging out with your certain people, hang out with a different set. It's one of those things where we just so used to looking for what's on the outside that we forget that there's a whole other side.
That look similar to us, and it's weird. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's not weird. I guess it was survival.
Nature, exactly. It's something we can't control at times. So it's one of those things.
We need to start controlling it.
Have more love in our life. Have more light in our life, positivity. And we will get through this together.
I feel bad for plugging our social medias, but it's kind of like the thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a conversation that will stop. And maybe our relationship, our friendship, you can see the respect and the love that we have for one another.
I mean, we also are open-minded, and we educate each other on certain things.
Definitely.
I think that's the more important thing to take with a friendship. That 0 minutes left. I think it's the most important part of our friendship is that we listen to one another, and we're educating each other
all the time
on our different backgrounds.
Yes, all the time. So it's one of those things where it's not an accident that we were put in each other's lives, and it's not an yin and the yang. And it's not an accident that we have the same dream and the same goal. Yeah. Because I think together,
everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. Together hopefully we can make a difference just by example, just by leading by example.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed. We will. No, we will make
a difference. Absolutely.
And we're going to put that out in the world.
Yes.
So you guys, make sure you follow us at the PAB podcast. Make sure you subscribe on our YouTube channel. Ring the bell. You can follow me at Deshaka.
And me at Ariel.Hardy.
We love you guys. Please be safe.
Peace and love.
Make good life choices.
Yes, please.
Love you.
Love you.
Mwah.